Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Meshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedyadravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Yadha sarvani bhutani pratibhanti sthitani cha yatraivo pashamam yanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. All right. So where are we in our text?
On number 25, on page 209.
Verse 25?
Yes.
Come on, light. There we go. Will you help us out, please, Puneet?
Section 3. Anusandhana kramaha, the method of scrutiny.
Okay.
Eta deva vividhyatvam nedam brahmeti nishchayah esha eva shayuksyaha yat brahmed iti nishchayah. So much only is the state of spiritual ignorance, which is the conviction that this is not Brahman or the Supreme Spirit. This alone is its end, i.e. the end of avidya, which is the conviction that this is Brahman or the Supreme Spirit.
Yes. So you hear me say so many times, both bondage and liberation occur to the mind. The self is ever free. What is my bondage? There is no other bondage than the conviction, the deeply rooted conviction caused by spiritual ignorance that I'm bound, meaning I think I'm my body. I have what technically we call jiva bhavana, the feeling, the attitude, the thought that I'm an individual person. There is no other liberation than the deeply rooted conviction based on direct experience. Not that I'm an enlightened person. We were talking about this before class. But that I am Brahman. So if you tune up the mind, look within. I like to say, look behind your eyes. Notice the knower. Do you see an enlightened person in there? What's there? Chidakasha, the space of consciousness. Vast and empty like the sky. To whom or to what does that shift that transformation happen to the mind. So if you're in the state of ignorance, so and so, or you realize, oh no, Jim, I'm very much in spiritual ignorance. Oh, do you suffer? Oh, I suffer terribly. By the way, do you exist? Yes, I exist. What's your existence? Misery. Do you know you're miserable? Yes, I know I'm miserable. So even in the midst of this bondage, the person thunders the truth. I am. I know. I shine as awareness. But in the mind, I do not know. Now, we have two technical terms. It's not in this verse, but I want to bring your attention to them. Paroksha Jnanam and Aparoksha Jnanam. Paroksha Jnanam means indirect knowledge. Knowledge I receive from the teacher and the scripture. Now, if the gestalt of satsang is effective, Vedanta tunes up your mind. The teacher is skillful. He will turn your mind back upon your own self. And then your understanding, paroksha jnanam, and your experience, aparoksha jnanam, come together at the same time. Do you have doubts about your essential nature? No. You see it? Then I warn people about the terrible demon, Yabat. Yeah, but I'm not blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but what about that? Yeah, but what? Slay that demon. Drop it. Oh. Only Brahman is real. Brahma Satya Jagan Nitya. Brahman alone is real. The Jagat, phenomenal world, is Nitya, illusion. So, there are two kinds of knowledge that we deal with in this work. This is a secret. First, there's a perfect knowledge. It cannot be gained, cannot be lost. It's ever present. That's the self-evidence of I. How do you know you are you? You do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself. Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. He should have tried meditation, see if he disappeared when he quit thinking. The self is swayambhu, self-evident. Swayam jyoti, self-luminous. But the great cosmic joke is everybody already has that. So this second kind of knowledge One of the words for it is pratyabhigyana, this recognition, this aha. So in an auspicious moment, when the mind is sattvic and quiet, with the attentive faculty turned within, who am I? With the mind's eye, if you can see, oh, there's nothing there. I'm not a person. This Jiva Bhavana was a counterfeit self. Fake news. It drops, it falls. But the real self shines. And in the subtle intellect, technically, you get it. Oh, I'm safe. I was never born, never die, I never change. Can't be fixed, it can't be improved, there's nothing wrong. I am what God is. That deeply rooted conviction is the mark of a Sthita Prajna Purusha, person of steady wisdom, a Muni, a sage, a Jnani, a knower of Brahma. Will it make you rich? No. Will it get you a girlfriend or a boyfriend? No. You know what it gets you? Nothing. Except it gives us what I call existential freedom. I'm free from all the stupid ego drives, trying to protect self, fix self, improve self, defend self. The second thing it gives me is I finally know where happiness is. Happiness is the mind, freed from its longing, staying home, abiding in the self. Want to be happy? Let go of the world. So simple in the end. Such is the power of ignorance. Avarana Shakti, first comes the veiling power. Then Vikshepa Shakti, the projecting power. I think I'm a person. I have a goal. And that goal only takes one of two forms, or both. I either need to fix the world in order to be okay, or I need to fix me in order to be okay. And then kartavya, obligatory action. This struggle to go from point A to point B. If I just had more money, if I just had a better relationship, if I just had a different job, if I just had a 501k instead of a 401k. Is there such a thing as a 501k? I don't know. Only the Republicans would win. Only the Democrats would win. Whatever it is, if only. If I were pretty, if I were more handsome, if I had more hair, be better. All of it is bullshit. All of it. Come home. Come home. Next verse. Great stuff.
Abhyasena vina Rama nodeti brahma bhavana brahma chitta brahma bhuvanam brahma bhuta parampara brahmaham brahma muchatru brahma mantri bhandavaha sarvameha hi brahmeti bhavite ti sukhi kila. Rama, perception or direct knowledge of Brahman or the Supreme Spirit does not arise without spiritual practice. Brahman is pure consciousness. Brahman is the world. Brahman
is what? The word?
Is the world.
World. Okay.
Brahman is the succession of living beings. I am Brahman. Brahman is my enemy. Brahman is my friends and relatives. Everything is indeed Brahman only. One indeed becomes extremely happy when this is meditated upon.
Yeah. So, abhyasena starts off with that instrumental case, by means of practice. Abhyas. Now, for those who are the subtlest yogis, the A++ yogis, they see the truth just when they hear it. For the lowest class of yogis, they've got minds like bricks. They're an ass. Lord Shiva himself could not enlighten them. But for the rest of us in the middling class, we need to practice. And the practice, shortest form of it, Viveka Vairagya. Viveka, practice of discriminating between the self and the not self, the subject and all the objects, real and the unreal. If I think I'm a person, I'm deluded. Everything my mind presents as a solution from that point on is based in a lie. Constantly turning the mind back. Who am I? And vairagya, that desire, we don't achieve it overnight. To give up all attachments to enjoyments, here we mean experiences, gained through the senses. We cannot give up our experience of the sensory world. It's stupid. This is not about living in a sensory deprivation tank. It doesn't mean that. It means to give up the sangraha, the attachment, the clinging, and to give up all ideas of self. This is not a program of self-improvement. This is not a program to build your self-esteem. Yoga is a program of self-abandonment. Small s. It's a program of self-forgetting. If I think I'm a person, I'm deluded. Drop it. over and over. When I find my mind craving things in the world, Shankara says, at least, don't embrace a rotting corpse thinking it's a beautiful bride. I want fill in the blank. I've shared this with you. When I was doing my sadhana in the ashram, my nickname for my mind was Mudha, fool. It's so repetitive and it's so boring. Who had a crappy week or a crappy day this week? Tell me it's the first time you've felt this. It's so boring. And how has the struggle of ego worked out for you? Never works out for me. Drop it. Come home. And own your ananda when you do have a pleasurable experience. Remember, that's a taste of my own self-nature. That's a kiss of the bliss of Brahman. It's not in the object. Own your own ananda. Any thoughts on this process? And he says it's all Brahman. Yourself is Brahman. That's the first thing we work on. Discrimination between the subject and the objects, the self and the not self. But then Brahman is this world. There is no not self, we lie. The nama rupa, the names and forms, are neutral. They're shunyata. They're void in and of themselves. Nothing in the world is good. Nothing in the world is bad, other than what my thinking produced. It's all that it is. If I can let it all go, and the world becomes this incredibly intense, incredibly ecstatic experience. Just listen to the dude outside. No judge. Sarvamaya, Sarvamaya. Oh, this is Maya. It's all bliss. Next one.
Dukkhau dhamayam agyasya gyasyanandamayam jagat andham bhuvanam andhasya prakasham tu sachakshushah. The world consists of a multitude of sorrows to the ignorant. To the wise, the world is full of bliss. The world is dark to the blind, but bright to the one with eyes.
So again, there's nothing wrong with this world. The world is full of bliss. But if I'm in ignorance, I'm a person. The people, places, things, and conditions are external. And that person makes me happy, and that person makes me angry. And this object brings me pleasure, That object is terrible. And the world is full of suffering. But if we give up all struggle, let it be. It will be so. I find myself in times of trouble. Mother Mary comes to me. It can be Durga, Saraswati. Mother comes to me, speaking words of wisdom. Let it be. And the world becomes bliss. Any thoughts?
Jim?
Who's that?
Justin,
Hi, Justin.
how are you? I've
Listen.
had kind of a surreal day, really, just watching the news and watching everything. It's very chaotic. But I don't know, it just seems very amazing how I'm just also noticing, you know, when you say things like the self in me is the self in you, I'm just noticing how much I have in common with every physical person, no matter who they are, you know, in that self as well, if you know what I mean, like the human aspect.
What you will find is if you take any level of manifestation
Mhm.
and inquire deeply into it, you'll find all otherness will disappear.
Yeah, it almost seems like that. It's like not just the consciousness, but also the character defects, just to varying degrees. You know what I mean? No matter what they are.
You have no such thing as my character defects.
Well, yes, that's the me, I, self that I need to reject. But it's interesting. Okay.
In other words, your mind is just like everybody else's.
Yes.
Your body is just like everybody else's. You inquire deeply into the body, you can't even find a place where my body stops and someone else starts. That's all an optical illusion.
Yes, yeah.
Same thing with mind. You can't find anything called my mind. Doesn't exist. Where do my thoughts come from? Can't find a place that's an origin other than God in the end. No, it's good insight, Justin. Good insight. Next verse.
Prashanta sarva sankalpam chidatmanam upasmahe shabdarupa shabdaruparasparsha gandhaihi abhasa amagatam taireva rahitam shantam chidatmanam upasmahe mahamahi masanyuktam rahitam sarvabhutibihi kartvitve vapyakataram chidatmanam upasmahe. We meditate on the self that is pure consciousness in which all thought has ended. We meditate on the self that is pure consciousness which has come to appearance through the five senses, sound, form, taste, touch, and smell, is free from them and is calm. We meditate on the self that is pure consciousness, which is endowed with great glory, is free from all births and a non-doer even when there is a possibility. Even when there's a possibly doership.
So let's take each one of these as an idea for contemplation, for meditation. So sarvam kalvidam brahma, that's where we start. Sarvam idam, all this, kalu verily is Brahman. There's no place where God is not. Right where the trouble seems to be, there God is. There's not God plus my miserable life. There's not God plus matter. There's not God plus evildoers. Sarvam kalvidam. With that as our starting point, let's go through each idea. What's the first one?
We meditate on the self that is pure consciousness, in which all thought has ended.
Yes. So, this again has layers of meaning. It can refer to nirvikalpa samadhi. When I have those moments of meditation where thought is suspended. But there's a deeper, more important understanding. I am ever the knower of thought. Thought never gets to me. Thought ends before me. I am Shonya, empty void. Then we can look at it from this standpoint. Thought is only problematic as long as I'm believing in thoughts. When the mind itself sees its own unreality, when you quit believing your mind, then thought ends. I have no thoughts or feelings of my own. In fact, I have no real thoughts at all. I just watch Nama, Rupa, gross and subtle go by. All of it is sure. Next idea.
We meditate on the self that is pure consciousness, which has come to the appearance through the five senses.
Yes. So I like to use the example, the subtle intellect is like a prism. So if you're outside and the sun is shining and you have a prism, you put a piece of white paper underneath it, sun strikes the prism. It is the sunlight itself that then appears as the spectrum. So also consciousness strikes the subtle intellect and causes seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, feeling, thinking to appear. Just like it's the sunlight that illumines the spectrum, and the spectrum is nothing but the light appearing as the various colors. So also, everything that I see is name and form. It's nothing but consciousness. This becomes easy to understand if you just examine your own imagination. When I imagine a strawberry, What's the material cause of the strawberry? It's the fabric of my mind. What's the instrumental cause of the strawberry? My mind. Who did it? My mind. Macrocosmically, it's no different. No different at all. Which is more real, a pleasant dream or a nightmare? Neither. Next one. Next idea.
The continuation of this one is free from them and is calm.
It's free from them.
Yeah, the five senses and is calm.
The last word, come.
Calm.
Calm. Oh. Yes. So, just as when I'm imagining a tiger or imagining an angel, neither touches me, the imaginer. So also, as I go through the day and I get my allotted dose of conducive and non-conducive events, that's only an interpretation of the mind. I am supreme peace. I think he used the word Paramashanti or something like that. Doesn't matter. Extremely calm.
Shantam.
Shanta. Okay, next one.
We meditate on the self that is pure consciousness, which is endowed with great glory, is free from all births and a non-doer, even when there is possibly doership.
Yes. So again, listen very carefully. It's not that my stupid, stinking ego is going to become a goody-goody and it's finally nice enough and pure enough that I won't have to come back and suffer in this terrible world again. No, it is like waking from a dream. If I dream that I'm in chains, and to the dreamer, I keep looking for the key to unlock the chains that are binding me. When I wake up, I realize, oh, it was just a very vivid dream. I was never bound in the first place. So at the moment of realization, I see I was never actually bound. It was just a trick of the mind. The self is never born. The self does not reincarnate. The self does not die. The self has no karma. The self simply knows. Now, if you want to think you're a person, then you can go to the astrologer and get your chart done. You can do all the kind of work on your body and your personality that you think you want and need. Knock yourself out. The yogi gets out. Next idea.
That was the last one.
Next verse.
Iti nishchityat ye satye pade sukham avisthataah nanandanti nanindanti jivitam maranam tatha. Manastesham tu niragam anupadhi gatabhramam asaktam muktam ashantam param sattvam padam gatam. Thus, having resolved, those who are happily established in the abode of truth or reality neither rejoice at nor condemn life as also death. But their mind is free from passion without limitation by factors like time and space, with delusions departed, not attached to worldly life, liberated, tranquil all around, and gone to the highest abode of pure existence.
Yes. So when we are rooted in this deep conviction, when it's knowledge, when you ever not you go through this process of really investigating, who am I? When do you ever lose yourself? Then that mind has been transformed. And life is different. A happy camper. Swamiji used to laugh all the time. He found people very, very funny. Next verse.
Prakrita chara samprapte kurvanta karma kevalam sthitata vigata samrabham apara iva meravaha. When the usual practice is obtained, performing the work entirely, they remain free from agitation like Meru mountains in other forms.
When the usual practice.
Yeah.
Read the Sanskrit again. What word did he use for that?
Prakrita.
Okay, the stuff of the world, the usual worldly stuff, like Vyavahara. So, when a person is a knower of Brahman, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to become a sannyasi or they're going to become a guru. There's an old Zen proverb. Before enlightenment, I chopped wood and carried water. After enlightenment, I chopped wood and carried water. Not a whole lot changes necessarily in the outer. Everything has changed. So what do? The body, mind, intellect, the robot has its programming. You put it on automatic pilot. Let it do its thing. And it will get its allotted dose of joys and sorrows, praise and censure in this world. But it's just like a movie. None of it ever touches you. And the day will come when that body drops off. The image I like to use, it's going to be more like getting a haircut. Right now, this is my hair. But if I go down the street to the barber and I get it chopped off, I'm not on the floor of the barber shop going, oh, I'm cut off. Oh, no, I go, ooh, it's really getting white. Into the trash. So this rag doll that keeps running around in the world, into the trash. Food for worms. But what is essentially in Gita, we have, I just love this word, Purushottama. Purusha means a person. Uttama. I think we get the English word ultimate from that Sanskrit. The ISKCON people translate it as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I don't like that. I like the ultimate essence of personness. What is it that makes you you? Your hands, your feet, your nose, your toes. Is it a feeling? Is it a thought? Is it a bunch of ideas? No. You are a conscious, sentient being. God's not an it. God's a who. You are Uttama Purusha. In fact, that one Purusha, that Uttama Purusha, is the only one here. There's not a bunch of us, there's only one of us here. Outside of time and space, indivisible, which each one of us experiences as time. And that is Nityam, eternal. Next one.
Next section, section 4. Dvivitho yoga, 2 kinds of yoga. Sri Rama Vacha, Prana Spanda Nirodhena, Vasana Vilayodaye, Jivan Mukta Pade Brahman, Vadvrishramyate Katham. When the dissolution of mental impressions is produced by the restraint of the movement of prana or the vital air, how does one repose in the state of liberation while living? Tell me that, revered sage.
So, again, as I've said before, one of the values of this text is very remarkable. It gives equal value to the practice of Raja Yoga and the practice of Jnana Yoga. So, in the practice of Raja Yoga, we have Chitta Nirodha, the stilling, the binding back of the flow. Again, here implying through the control of the prana. Now, he doesn't use the word vikalpa or chitta. He uses the word vasana. Didn't that was the word he used?
Yes.
Which is a deep impression. So listen carefully here. In the Raja Yoga tradition, some yogis who do not practice mature vairagya reach a state called Jada Samadhi. Jada means inert. Basically, you can stop the mind forcefully through the control of the breath and your experiences, i.e., the individual see nothing. Now, you might even have hyperventilated and be a bit blissful from it. But it has no capacity to reveal truth. Why? After you come out of that inert samadhi, you've got all your attachments to the world, which you have yet to deal with. So Shankara says it is the annihilation of the vasanas here and now that's considered liberation by the wise. That is always a function of vairagya. Mature and insightful dispassion, detachment. All right, next one.
Vasishtha uvacha samsaratarane yuktihi yoga shabdena kathyate tavidhi dviprakaram tvam chittopash mardhi mirnim atma jnana para prakarotha prananam sanyamasthata. The means for crossing over the course of worldly existence is called by the name yoga. Know that yoga, having the characteristics of the cessation of the mind, to be of two kinds, the way of self-knowledge and the control of the pranas or the vital airs.
Yes, talk about a good summary of these two paths that he's talking about. So yoga means union. What gets united with what? I am going to be united with God. Is that what it means? Here's my little ego, here's God. I'm gonna get glued on to God. Is that what it means? Oh, no, Jim. I will merge with God. I am the drop goddess of the ocean. Think. If yourself is Brahman, Brahman doesn't change. You either are Brahman or you're not. And the Upanishads thunder, I am Atma Brahma. This self is Brahman, not this self is going to become Brahman. So what gets united with what? What is yoga? Now, I don't have it marked in my phone, but I'm sure many of you have seen that wonderful image that's taken from the Ramayana, which shows Hanuman embracing Lord Rama. Have any of you seen that picture? Have you guys? Yes, no? No.
I don't think I've seen it though.
Can you bring it up?
Yeah.
And we'll pass it around. So Hanuman is the mind. Ram is the self. And I love these pictures because Hanuman is so blissed out. He's so at ease. Ram, of course, is completely neutral. But it is the mind that becomes no mind. It is the mind that gets yoked to the self. That is yoga. Yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the restraining of the mind stuff, and forming vidis. Did you find it?
Yeah.
Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can you show it to the Zoomies? Let me see if you got the right one. I think you did. Yes, I love that. I just love that.
Did you all see it?
In Zoomland, can you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
I can see it. Yes.
Yes.
Not when anyone talks though, but yeah.
So that's yoga. That's a pictorial image of yoga. When the mind can come home. So, true story. So in 2015, I'm traveling in India with my friend Dave Dutt, and I'm going to meet his guru, a fellow by the name of Bhuvaneshwarananda. Totally different tradition, Kriya Yoga tradition. They just call him Gurudev. He's in Jaipur. Don't know the guy, don't know anything about him. But I go to meet him, and I pranam, sit down, and it's so obvious. Oh, this is a great soul. This is a man whose mind has retired into the Supreme. This is a knower of Brahman. His mind was yoked to the sun.
What's the name of that picture?
His name is Bhuvaneshwarananda.
Oh, well, I can't spell that.
We can talk about it offline. He knows English, but he doesn't speak much of it. He converses mostly in Hindi. There's nothing to say. Nothing to say. Just share that great, infinite, deep bliss. But Chinmaya was the same way. That's yoga. So these two methodologies, the methodology of Raja Yoga, the Ashtanga Yoga, the 8 limbs as they're set forward by Patanjali, and the path of Jnana Yoga, self-inquiry. Now, my opinion, of course, I'm prejudiced because Jnana Yoga is the path that Swamiji taught. It is the fastest and most direct. But it is only available to those who have a pretty intense mumukshutva, a burning desire for liberation, because it just cuts right to the heart of it. And there are other paths other than Raja Yoga and Jnana Yoga. There's Karma Yoga, there's Bhakti Yoga. They are less direct. Less direct. So it all depends on the set of our soul, what our personal temperament is. All right, going on. We're doing on time.
Prakarau dvavapi proktau yoga shabdena yadhyapi tathapi rudhimayata pranayuktau asau bhrisham. Though both the ways are spoken of by the word yoga, even then, this word has very much attained traditional usage in harnessing or use of prana or the vital air.
So, actually, one of the great gifts of the Bhagavad Gita, every single chapter is titled the yoga of such and such and so and so. So what this verse is saying is usually we have come to think of the word yoga only to be applied to Ashtanga yoga. That yoga which has yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. There's 8 limbs. But jnana yoga, which is the path we study, is also yoga. Whatever it is that yokes our minds to the infinite is yoga. All right, next verse.
Mama tvabhimato Rama susadhyo jnana nishchayah tayo jnanam tava yogo ayam prochyate shrino. Oh, I think I read the wrong one. No, sorry.
Read a different one.
Samao upaya shastrau tyao nunam eka phala pradao asadhya kasyachit yoga kasyachit jnana nishchayah. The 2 equal means are told by the scriptures. Certainly, they give the same result. To some person, yoga is not feasible or attainable. To some other person, certainty of knowledge is not attainable.
So, the way I approach it is the path we end up taking is based in our temperament. And we might as well talk about all 4 of the great paths. Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, jnana yoga. Karma yoga is designed for people who tend to contact the world through their senses, through their body. They're active people. What is the essence of karma yoga? Serve, serve, serve. I don't want to serve today. Get over it. Serve. That person smells. Serve. So in the process of service, we get over our stupid likes and dislikes. Probably the greatest example of a modern karma yogi was Teresa of Calcutta. She came from a comparatively privileged European family, but she was there serving the poorest of the poor, the most wretched. Not to be a goody-goody, but to get rid of the tyranny of likes and dislikes. Work, work, work. What is bhakti yoga? A yogi who practices the path of devotion. You love God until you disappear. Those of us who are from a Christian tradition or a Jewish tradition, actually those are bhakti yogas. What is the greatest of all the commandments within Judaism? Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and soul and mind and strength. Christianity simply has a personification of the deity. It's the only big difference. But you love till you disappear. Raja Yoga, we've been talking about. Jnana Yoga simply boils down to who am I? Jnana Yoga is a non-intellectual path for intellectuals. We teach you a way of thinking that gets you out of your thinking. That's what we do. And many of us practice what I call an integral yoga. We take a bit from some of the other paths as well. All right, next verse.
Mama tvam vimato rama susadhyo jnana nishchayah tayo jnanam tava yogo ayam prochyate shrinu. Rama, my accepted view is that certainty of knowledge is easily attainable. Of the two, knowledge has been told to you. This yoga is now described. Hear this.
So, what the majority of this book has been about has been Jnana Yoga. So, if you have a subtle mind and an intense spirit of renunciation, this knowledge is direct, right to the point, and culminates in direct experience, knowledge of yourself. Now he's going to talk about Ashtanga Yoga, Raja Yoga. Going on.
Iti Shri Vasishtha Sangrahe Chitatma Bhavana Nama Vinsha Sargaha. Thus ends the 20th chapter titled Contemplation of the Self, that is pure consciousness, in the abridgment of Yoga Vasishtha.
Okay, so I think we'll end a little bit early and we'll start the next section next week. We have a few minutes. Do we have any questions or thoughts? So Justin, back to your inquiry about Bhuvaneshwarananda. His path was Kriya Yoga. It's the same as Self-Realization Fellowship. So if you pick up the book Autobiography of the Yogis, it's that same tradition.
Called Autobiography of the Yogi.
That's written by Paramahansa Yogananda. So that lineage split at a saint named Sri Yukteswar. So he had several disciples. So one particular tradition comes down to this fellow Bhuvaneshwarananda. Yogananda is in a different tradition which he brought to the West. But it's a form of Raja Yoga. There's a lot of pranayama, visualization exercises, stuff like that.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have thoughts or questions?
What would you say are there specific differences in how a Raja Yoga teacher versus a Jnana Yoga teacher would tell you how to?
Well, there's not one meditation for all people, nor the same person at any particular stage of their sadhana. Meditation varies. Now, in our tradition, soon we try to get you into self-inquiry. But it may be very different in a Raja Yoga tradition. They may not focus too much on that at all. They may have you counting your breath. They may have you doing visualizations. They may have you focusing on your chakras, dealing with energy flows, with the prana. These are all meditations of a kind. But for example, if someone comes and their nervous system is fragile and they've been living a rather gross lifestyle, things like asana and pranayama can be very, very helpful. So when Swamiji first went up to the Himalayas, he was actually initiated into sannyas by Swami Shivananda. They call that the Yoga Vedanta Society, the Divine Life Society, same thing. But they teach asana and pranayama as well. How would you know? But you'll know I have implicit trust in your inner group. There are some teachers who will say, oh, no, you can't go study with another teacher. You can't read that book. You can't do that practice. I think that's nonsense. Go where you're fed. And some of us will engage in a particular practice for a while and then, okay, I'm done. For me, I always came back to the Veda. That fed me. I don't know if that's useful at all.
Yeah, useful. I think I was just more like intellectually curious about what the different teachers were recommending.
Well, I am not a Raja Yogi. I am not, I mean, I dabbled in it. There was a teacher, let's end and then we can keep talking. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. So like 6, 7 years before I met Swamiji, I got involved with some people who were disciples of